Welcome to another episode of Well to Do. I'm Andi Lew, and this episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. I'm interviewing somebody that has created something that you can heal from without medicine, without drugs, without surgery. It is so groundbreaking that I'm predicting this industry to be a billion-dollar industry, and it's called quantum healing. Now, Philipp von Holtzendorff-Fehling is the author of this brand new book. It's a new release for anyone who's interested in learning about health, and it's called The Energy of Everything. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today on the show. Welcome, Philipp.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I have been using Leela Quantum, which is the name of your company, for a while now. I'm wearing the Leela Quantum necklace, and right on the table is the Leela Quantum block. And the world is accepting this in such a beautiful way. And I would just like to tell our guests that the reason why quantum healing is so important is because we need to find ways to be more adaptive in our environment that has so much electromagnetic radiation and frequency. Now, you are the man that knows about this more than anyone. If I could tell our audience, it's because you were the former CEO of T-Mobile in both Europe and America.
Vice President.
I keep saying the CEO.
That's okay.
This is how much I don't know about business. I'm right into the business of healing. But being the vice president of such a company, you saw firsthand about what happened when I guess we ramped up those levels.
That is correct. Yeah. And they ramp up faster and faster, and they don't stop ramping it up.
So we're talking about 5G. So we moved from 4G to 5G. I know a lot of people, as you know, health and wellness coach and the author of Treasured Chest, women who were removing breast implants and talking about having those toxins, heavy metals in their body, and how that actually interacted with the 5G radiation. It was almost like they were buzzing and having tinnitus. So you can imagine others who may have had, I guess, amalgams and other heavy metals in their bodies circulating, what that can do, right? But you're saying that they're ramping it up. Are you saying that there's 6G, 7G? Is it coming? Is it here? Tell us about that.
So first of all, they're not all bad because they're also delivering a lot of convenience for us, right? So I would argue it's pretty amazing what we can use in terms of technology nowadays. It's just that we also need to be aware of the downsides. And the downsides really come with 5G. They already came with 3G and 4G, and now with 6G and 7G that are sort of there already, at least in the US and the cell towers, we detect frequencies that are not 5Gs. It is going to continue for a while, and it's detrimental to human health in the short term. You can measure it within seconds in the brain, as an example. Within minutes, you can measure it in your blood and in your HRV, so your autonomic nervous system. And then obviously there are midterm and long-term results that are quite detrimental. And that is something we need to be aware of, and we need to take action in that regard. And the action is not to tear down 5G towers. That would be silly. It's not going to happen. No one is going to happen. No one is going to agree with that. So we need solutions that harmonize electromagnetic fields effectively 360. And with that, I'm saying not like some sticker on the cell phone. 95% of those don't work anyway. There are some that do have some efficacy. But then if you think about it, you hold your phone here and then it does something here. But what about the rest of your body and your biofield, right? So we have a 5G soup all around us and not just at the left or right ear. Mm-hmm. So that's where we come in with our technology.
So this is important for people to understand who might be watching or listening, that other companies that claim to do a similar thing are not necessarily, because there are things out there, products that are, I guess, EMF blockers. And it's very important to ascertain that, firstly, we, I guess, don't want to block because it just works harder to draw the signal. And secondly, the Leela Quantum concept or philosophy is to get us to be as adaptive as possible because it ain't going to stop. Right? So tell me, you started doing some studies to see if this really works. And in Frankfurt, in Germany, I think that's where you're from. Is that right? You're from Germany.
From Germany,
living in Florida now. And you realize that we needed to prove it. I mean, people want science, don't they? And like, it wasn't enough that all these customers are saying, I'm feeling better and pain's going away and the symptoms are dissipating. So there is a place in Frankfurt where you can do the most up-to-date technology with the brain scan. The EEG, is that right, has 256 channels. So you can't get anything more current and accurate as this brain scan. What happened when you tested people in this place to see how we, adapted to the radiation?
Yes. So, and thanks for bringing it up. So just for people to know, we have by now over 60 different studies that have been completed, over 40 placebo-controlled trials. And the brain research is just the latest research that has been happening. And it also was one that opened my eyes, because I thought I knew a lot about electromagnetic fields. I had read tons of papers. I've seen all of our papers. But when we ran this first brain study in this institute in Frankfurt, it literally opened my eyes as well, how bad it is to the brain.
Right.
Because you can see with this most advanced EEG device on the market, it can look into your limbic system and your brain like an MRT.
Wow.
So you can see it all. And you can see that electromagnetic fields from a 5G phone and phone call attack your limbic system already within seconds nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our whole autonomic nervous system is basically orchestrated. Our heartbeat, the breath. So it's our sacred part. And if that gets fully stressed, we have a real issue. So with our technology, we saw that we were able to neutralize all of those negative effects. And for example, the alpha activity in the limbic system, which we really want to increase, was increased by 13x with our technology.
Wow.
And we know that this institute in Germany, which is very reputable. So
what's the name of it if people want to look it up?
So look up Professor Dr. Jörg Spitz.
Okay.
He's an authority in Germany and in Europe, also in Switzerland. He's very well known. And Dr. Diana Hens. Dr. Diana Hens is actually the one operating the EEG device. She's published over 50 papers. She has over 270 citations in this field. She's very well respected. She's like the go-to person in Germany for these types of topics. And she actually couldn't believe, she thought our technology wouldn't work. And the reason is because they've tested over 30 different technologies that claim they can help with electromagnetic fields.
There's a lot out there, and I'm just learning that you've got to go to the right place, the right tests.
Yes, that's correct. And you can find maybe some cheap EEG that says, oh, there is now a little bit of a yellow color instead of a blue color. And
that's when the frontal cortex, a part of the brain, lights up. It's overactive when they're holding the phone next to them. Is that right? It starts to overact.
Yeah, but so if you go to like a $12,000 EEG device, you don't see much at all of anything really. And if you go to a very granular testing, like this device costs in the US probably over $200,000, the 256 channel EEG.
Wow.
So this is really top notch.
Yeah.
That's where you can see everything really, what is actually happening.
Yeah.
And most of the technologies, they have to stop after 2 test persons because they make it worse. And they can't expose people to this type of issue because it's already an issue to have a 5G phone next to you. So if you make it worse, that's not good. And then they found, I think, 2 technologies that actually really had efficacy. And so they thought it couldn't work with our technology, but it did. And it does so in every case. And it's very substantial. So, we can basically de-stress the brain while you have absolute top cognitive function, even if you have your iPhone 15 or 16 right next to your ear. So that's quite something.
I don't know if I still would hold the phone next to my ear and trust that Leela Quantum's definitely doing the job. I feel like I'm still in habit of keeping it away from me, but it's so good to know that there are studies to prove that it really will harmonize and help you be protected, I guess, if you like, as your body's in harmony. And I want to actually dive deep into how that works, the system that you developed, the system that you created, that when you put matter or an object, because everything is energy, that's the energy of everything, the title of your book. But when we put that in to the device that you've created and we quantum charge that item, because we are energy, just being in the field, of something else that is in harmony affects us too. Does this last forever, or do we have to keep charging it with your system, or how does this actually work?
So we need to differentiate, right? So on one hand, we have these blocks. So if that block, if that's here, we're in the field of it and we're in quite close proximity. So we don't have any EMF issues here at this point, because it does two things. It harmonizes the space around us. What does that mean? So if we have detrimental waveform patterns that would usually hit us, now they're not detrimental anymore. So they're harmonized, so it's as if they go right through us. At the same time, it strengthens our biofield, so that even if there were detrimental waveform patterns, they don't really do anything with us. So that it works on these two angles. Then you mentioned charging an object in there. So that could be your phone, right? Your phone, you would charge your phone.
You would put your phone inside
and the
this.
charging, to just make sure people don't misunderstand, it's not battery charging.
No.
You can just put it in, exactly, and you infuse that phone with quantum energy. And you can leave it there for maybe 2 minutes, and then it's done. And then it will have energetically changed. So you could measure before that negative effects, for example, on your blood or on your HRV from that phone. Now, afterwards, you could not measure that because it's harmonized.
Right.
And that'll last for some time. Unfortunately, with devices like this, probably you need to recharge it every 2 or 3 months.
Really?
Just because the quantum energy gets sucked out from these electromagnetic fields that are constantly interacting with the phone.
But we do this at home. I have this at home. We put our water inside there, our food. And from a molecular structure perspective, I think it's quite fascinating, because I had always read the book of the Japanese professor Emoto, who wrote The Hidden Messages in Water. And he studied the fact that we are water, 70 to 80% water. Even our food that we eat, plants are the same amount of percentage. So too is the earth, mind you. So that's how everything is connected. But if our water can change on a molecular structure in the studies that he showed, then imagine what is happening here on that structure as we're structuring the water right now. And he actually was a fan of this company. I think 3 years ago he endorsed your work. Can you tell us about Emoto's work?
That's correct. So Masaru Emoto passed already, but his institute lives on, and his son Hiro Emoto is now the head of that office. And I think 3.5 years ago, they tested our technology. And in terms of the blocks, they tested our weakest device. It's very important to say it's the weakest device. And already with that, they found that it would improve water faster than any other method they tested before. And then they asked for a Zoom call afterwards. And in that Zoom call, they asked me if they could resell our products in Japan exclusively. And since that day, they've been exclusive resellers. And I was just on another webinar with Hiro Emoto and several customers about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So yes, they have done the analysis, and what they saw was significant, because in their world, they look at these beautiful crystals that are in the water, when they freeze the water.
When they're labeled with words like love, it does look like as if you're looking at a kaleidoscope and it's crystallization forms. But if that water was labeled with, say, the word hate, it would look like a murky oil spill on the road when he's looking at it through a microscope, right?
Yes. Correct. And he found that out of one beautiful crystal in the control water, our device made 5 beautiful crystals in only 3 minutes. That's quite substantial in their world. Now, we had naysayers, right? So you find naysayers along the way with technologies that a lot of people don't understand. And so they said, well, but what the Emoto Institute does, that's not, you need to have a chemist look at this. And then we said, okay, so what could a chemist look at? Oh, they could possibly look at the redox potential. So then we had a chemist lab in Germany test water, and they ran, I think, 10 or 12 samples on different days of water. And each time after putting it in the block, the redox potential not only changed, but really optimized. And it had more antimicrobial features and everything. So on that level, that was perfect, right?
In trying to disprove the theory of Leela Quantum, they proved it.
Exactly. And then not just that, the Bion Institute out of, I think, Slovenia, they just ran a triple blind study with our super blog, and they found incredible results. The study will be published in the next 3 months, I'm assuming. And they literally wrote in the study, and I'm paraphrasing right now, that if you drink this type of water charged with a block, it helps your body towards homeostasis. And that's pretty much, that's a bold statement for scientists to put that in a study report, because usually they're very careful with their wording.
Yeah. Now, you've been endorsed by all of these amazing health professionals and doctors, but you've also been endorsed by Hollywood celebrity Zac Efron. You found that he was wearing this Leela Quantum necklace, shirtless, golfing, posted it on his Instagram. It wasn't a paid endorsement. What is going on?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know him. I've never met him, and I was called at some point, hey, Zac Efron just posted this reel, and then it stayed, I think, his pinned reel for quite some time.
To this day, it's still the most double tapped video that he has ever posted.
Yep, one of the most watched reels on Instagram of all times, I heard. So that's not a bad thing. And people want to use something that works and also looks good at the same time. So I think that's pretty much how he sees it. And the same with top athletes, right? So top athletes don't really care about how things function. I mean, they don't want to spend the time to understand how red light therapy works or how quantum technology works. They care that they do something that works, that helps them with their performance and their recovery. And that's pretty much, why they're using it.
Well, I think what's important to note is that even celebrities who used to tout partying and getting wasted, if you like, is the cool thing to do, being in the celebrity world, have now realized that longevity is where it's at. We're in full swing of the wellness revolution and everybody's onto it. I feel like we still didn't answer the question, and maybe it was just misinterpreted, about how this actually works. I mean, it's not like somebody who's really their husband's a good handyman and they can get 3 plates here, put it together, they can't copy this structure, and it's not going to do the same thing, right? So tell us about how this design was developed and what process it goes through to enable the structuring.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked, because indeed just the material itself doesn't work. And that's how the sham-controlled studies come in also, right? Because you have a sham device that looks just like this, same material, same graphics, same whatever, but it's not infused with our technology. And then you have the real device, and only the real device produces these significant results, right?
What is the infusion process?
Yes. So first of all, it's important to understand, if we have 2 magnets in our hands, we create a magnetic force field.
Attraction.
Now, these plates are infused with concentrated quantum energy, and how we do that is our proprietary process, so we don't share that.
Okay.
But it is infused with super concentrated quantum energy, and then when you align them, it's the same thing as if you had 2 magnets. It's just not a magnetic force field, it's a quantum force field. And within that, suddenly things are possible that are not possible if you don't have such a quantum force field. And that's where it comes in with the water structuring, for example. You also can copy each and every frequency. So if I put, let's say, a piece of your favorite healing plant right next to this glass of water, the frequency of that will be in the water within 30 seconds. It'll be vibrating in the water. So because it commingles that. And then it creates on top of that this huge field around us that harmonizes the space. Those are just some of the things that it does.
The feeling I like to liken it to is if that you're attracted to something that's balanced. What's around it is going to be balanced, including you.
Yeah.
And then that is the snowball effect, that flow-on effect that continues to have the ripple effect, if that makes sense for anyone that's listening. I mean, it's just not fair that this is all a secret, because we always want to know how the magician makes the magic. And, we'll forever be curious, but I respect that that's your patent and technology and all the rest of it. But it is important to know that this came from a place that was intentional. You've always been involved in mind, body, spirit. You came from a background of professional tennis, not just working, with telco companies. And meditation, all of these things are important to you. So when you saw a problem and, as a good entrepreneur does, finds a solution, did it just all align very quickly, or was that a process to get the people to help you with this product?
It was actually quite fast. But the process of getting to the point where I had the final vision of what we're going to create, that took a lifetime, right? Half my lifetime basically. And
Wow.
then I realized at some point, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is my calling. I got out of corporate in 2016. And in 2019, we launched Leela Quantum Tech. And thankfully, with the team I assembled, it was relatively easy for us to develop all these frequencies and the devices. Yeah.
When you say this, it makes me remember that we're always on path and that everything is meant to be, because everything that we're doing now will lead to whatever else we're meant to be doing. Even if we think that's a weird path, I'm now no longer working for T-Mobile. But you know what I mean? It was
Yes.
that problem that became the solution for the next calling, if you like, in your
Yes.
career path. So now I might say, isn't that fascinating that your next calling has become an author? You're a first-time author. What did that feel like? I've written 10 books, so I'm just like, do you know what's going on? You've birthed this baby, and trust me, it gets addictive. You're going to want to do more.
Yeah, I already have the idea for
Exactly.
book 2 and 3. And actually
That's
now
right.
I'm thinking, well, book 2 and 3 will be even better than the first
I
one.
know. It always happens.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm just happy this finally happened. And to get started is probably, the most difficult part, right, for the first book, because you didn't really know where to start and how to put it together. So I'm glad it's out there, and I'm really happy with it. So
It's interesting that you draw to Indigenous cultures as well in the book. And I'm always a believer of, we need to listen to our first people. Where did we get so disconnected? And, we forgot what they had to teach us. So it starts off with that, and then it goes into an action plan. So we can get this book where? Tell us how we can find it.
you can get it anywhere in the world, I think, on Amazon, and you would get it in the US actually also at Barnes and Nobles, if I'm not mistaken.
That's fantastic. It's actually a really beautiful book. It could be sitting on the coffee table as well, and a great reference point. Before we wrap up, I would love to ask you, where do you see the world headed? What is your vision for the future with Leela Quantum? It's not just the 2 devices or products that we've spoken about. You have a range of even underwear. You have a program. Tell us about, what is your vision? Because, I'm calling it out now. I'm like, this is going to be $1 billion industry, honey. So when I'm right, we're going to celebrate. So what do we need to help you, I guess, create this better world, harmony in the world?
Well, I mean, Einstein told us already, right? The future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies, and you realize it correctly. The future is already here, and I would agree. This field will grow significantly. It is non-invasive, and therefore we can also come out with our new product pipelines that we have already in the background, right? So there's a lot more to be done. We developed eye drops, for example, with specific frequencies already a year and a half ago. It's not that easy to launch them. That's like a difficult thing because of regulation.
Is it just saline with an intention?
It's saline, it's DMSO, and it's not an intention. It's very specific frequencies to open your third eye and to help the physical eye in various different ways. I mean, that's the eye drops that I used to not use any glasses or contacts anymore. And yes, I have these glasses, but they don't have...
They're blue light blockers.
They're just blue light blockers.
This is important for all the ladies who are doing Botox and creating muscle paralysis in the third eye, like in their, this area here, like you're literally paralyzing that area of your body. And so to reawaken that is a major step and need for these women who will realize, what have I done?
Yes, correct. And, then we have the quantum upgrade that we're working on heavily. We've developed frequencies for all kinds of different use cases, also for medical use cases. Like, there's something out there that we've developed for diseases even, and we're not launching those at all. Like, there's only some testing, and the question is, how are we going to bring those to market at some point? So we're thinking about possibly doing a spin-off at some point so that we can get into the medical space with devices and or applications. So we're very careful to not poke the bear and to be, full in regulation.
But it's more than just harmonizing from, causing dysregulation in the part of the brain that is responsible for, I guess, psychological illnesses like the anxiety and then the heart rate variability that changes as a result of that being lit up and active too much. It can actually further help people with pain in their body. I mean, I've sat my foot in this block at the end of a day, and within 15 minutes, the pain really did go away. So there's something to be learned from everybody's, I guess, experiences and to share that. So I would love everybody that's been watching this show to share it with as many people as you can, because at some point in your life, you're going to want to refer back to this episode. Now tell us how we can continue to support Leela Quantum or jump on board and be a part of the movement.
LeelaQ.com is a good place to go, LeelaQ.com. And if you want to get really involved, get into our private Telegram group. You find the link on our website. That's the Quantum Power Group with over 8,000 active members that just love this technology and talk about it and learn and share. So you can ask questions there, and then don't take my word for it. Ask real people out there that use this technology.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much for being on the show, Philip. This is Andi Lew with Well To Do, and please leave us a comment and let us know what you thought of this episode, or if you want more information on this. And yeah, have an inspired and balanced rest of your day.